Max Verstappen won a chaotic and gripping Canadian Grand Prix with Lando Norris and George Russell left to reflect on what might have been in a race of high drama amid on and off race in Montreal. In an unpredictable 70-lap race that featured 4 changes in lead and 2 safety car periods triggered by crashes, Verstappen impressively returned to winning ways a fortnight after Red Bull's Monaco misery with his 6th win of the season to re-establish a comfortable 56-point lead in the championship. McLaren's Lando Norris twice led the race, the first time after overtaking both Verstappen and Russell, but had to settle for second after the cards did not fall in his favour, particularly under the first safety car. Pole sitter Russell ended up third for Mercedes and looked particularly crestfallen after a topsy-turvy race in which he made several mistakes with McLaren's Oscar Piastri. Dropping to fourth after the latter incident following the race's second safety car period, Russell was then overtaken by Hamilton, who went on to overtake Piastri cleanly soon after and moved into the final podium place with 5 laps to go. But Russell rallied and got after Piastri at the second attempt, repassed Hamilton in the penultimate lap to ensure he was the driver to seal Mercedes' first podium of the year. Fourth still represented Hamilton's best result of the season so far, although the 7-time Montreal victor, who qualified 6 places behind Russell, 7th, described it as one of the worst races he's ever driven. Overtaken by both Mercedes, and it should have been the only leading cars to pit for a second set of dry tyres. Piastri ended up 5th behind the second McLaren. Aston Martin took 6th and 7th with Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, respectively, in a competitive race, long fight for that points position. Daniel Ricciardo fought back from a 5-second penalty for a jump start to cap his best weekend of the season in 8th. Alpine also scored crucial points, Gasly 9th, Ocon 10th. Ocon, however, was angered by the team's instructions to let Gasly pass in the closing stages in the hope of catching Danny Ric. Ferrari's nearest challengers were the nearest challengers to Red Bull, but they were considered favourites by many for this weekend, but it turned out to be a disastrous weekend. Double Q2 elimination and then a double DNF, a power unit problem for Leclerc, which they finally got fixed, and then they did a weird strategy putting on mediums, and then by that they were like a lap down, and Sainz had a collision with Albon. Ferrari are now 49 points behind Red Bull, although the world champions only scored with Verstappen after Sergio Perez's own miserable weekend, failing to improve in the race, colliding with Gasly and then retiring with a broken rear wing and hitting the turn 6 barriers. Pretty miserable. But the Montreal weather weekend has already been dominated by the changeable weather before the onset of 2 heavy downpours in the hour before the race ensued. We knew it would be unpredictable. The vast majority of the field starting on the inters, except for the 2 Haas cars on the grippier full wets. Russell maintained his starting advantage over Verstappen and Norris as the field gingerly pulled away from the grid in search where the grip was overly slippery. Initially enjoying more purchase from the treacherous surface, Kevin Magnussen moved up to 4th, but the track soon started to come back to the intermediate runners as the rain began to ease. Magnussen pitted on lap 8 to change tyres and duly dropped back down the order, with Russell opening an early advantage of around 2 seconds over Verstappen, with Norris a little further back but still in touch very much. But as the dry line started to slowly appear, as did the Mercedes driver's chief pursuers, who started to find more speed and close down Russell's lead, with Norris looking particularly strong. After Verstappen had dropped slightly back on Russell, outbraking himself at the first chicane, Norris overtook the Red Bull with DRS down the back straight, a tricky repeated on Russell to seize the lead 1 lap later. First, then quickly became third for Russell as Norris overtook in the final chicane and slipped by Verstappen in ahead too. But just as it looked like Norris was about to take firm control of proceedings, the McLaren driver quickly surging into a lead of around 10 seconds in 4 laps. The safety car was deployed when Logan Sargent spun his Williams out of turn 5 and ended up sideways on the inside after making race-ending contact with the wall. The timing couldn't have been worse, with the Briton already at the final corner where the pit entry is located. Race control confirmed they were initiating safety car, meaning Norris had to stay out for a painful extra lap. With the luxury of more time to decide what they were going to do, Red Bull reacted by immediately pitting Verstappen, as did Mercedes with Russell for another set of intermediate tyres. And by the time Norris had spent his additional lap on track running behind the safety car, pitted and rejoined on his own fresh inters, he was behind the 2 cars he'd just overtaken. This time though, it was Verstappen who was ahead. After 5 laps of being behind the safety car to allow to clear the stricken Williams, the race restarted on lap 30 with teams' eyes on the pit wall, but still very much trained on the weather, with a looming judgment call on whether to make the inevitable switch. From the leading trio, the moment arrived on lap 46. Verstappen and Russell again pitting simultaneously, but Norris once more stayed out, this time for 2 extra laps. However, This time it initially appeared though McLaren's strategy might just work out to sensational effect, as while Norris was still running strongly on his inters, the lead Red Bull and Mercedes cars were taking time to get their slicks up to temperatures on a still slippy track. McLaren's overcut got their driver back ahead of Russell for second, although not quite Verstappen, who despite Norris actually emerging ahead, but yeah, it's slippy offline and allowed Verstappen to get past. Verstappen opened up a gap of around 4 seconds on Russell, who pounced to overtake Norris, but then Russell made a mistake to give Norris back their position, and the sights elbow and tangle caused another safety car. Mercedes rolled the dice and got fresh tyres on both their cars, but hopes for Russell were undone at the end of lap 63 when he attempted an overtake on Piastri, but yeah, then ran off. To the compound matters for Russell, he also meant Hamilton got past, and he did a job on Piastri himself, but Russell was not quite finished, using his fresh and medium tyres to overtake both. But yeah, he said afterwards it was an ugly race on behalf, and he said he was very sorry for that. But yeah, I think maybe he'll see it as a bit frustrating. And before I go, let me run you through the classification from the race. Verstappen coming out on top. Yeah, great job from Max. I think showed when he had competition and all the colour around us, he still came out on top. Norris, I think, obviously got unlucky with that safety car, but maybe could still be frustrating not to get the win. But still a very good result for him. I think Russell, just made a few mistakes. Hamilton wasn't even happy in his race, and he ended up just behind him, despite starting so much further back. So I think that says it all. Just both Mercedes in different ways to maximise their weekend when they had a really strong car. I think Piastri in fifth. I think he'll be disappointed to miss out to Mercedes, but still collecting decent points. But I think probably will be slightly disappointed. And then you've got the Astons just behind. I think good job from them. They'll be pleased with that, especially to gain consistent points after a tough few weekends. Similar story for Ricciardo. The Alpines, a bit of unnecessary drama over that final point. I think kind of feel for Ocon there, but still some crucial points for them. Haas will be gutted just to miss out, but I like that strategy they went for at the start, really ambitious. The Kick Saubers both finishing, not scoring any points. That's kind of race for the car they've got. They need to score some points, and Tsunoda making that mistake, which will be frustrating for him because he had a decent chance of points, just shows he needs to cut out those mistakes. A disastrous weekend for Ferrari. They'll be just hoping that's all of their bad luck gone. For Williams too, Sargent another poor crash. I think Albon obviously getting slightly unlucky, and then Perez an absolute honker of the weekend, and a grid penalties coming next race too. The damage costs keep adding up. He needs to turn it around quickly, even with that new contract in the bag. Guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.